Hi, Wayne O'Keefe here, and I'm fishing this early morning river. This is in the suburbs of Melbourne, so it's not all that far from the city actually. Beautiful morning, it's autumn. The only trouble is that, as you can see behind me, the river is extremely flat, so there's no breeze, and there's a little bit of cloud cover, but it's quite early, so that the sun isn't all of that high. It's around about 7 o'clock. What I'm going to try and do is catch some of the fish in front of me. I got here early because this is tidal, and so I want to take advantage of probably the last 2 hours of the tide. So it should be rising, but because there's been a bit of rain lately, what's happening is the water's very still. You would imagine it should be moving, but the water from the river running to the sea and the water moving in from the sea as the tide rises are actually neutralizing each other, so there's not much flow. Now, there's an old saying in fishing that no flow, no go, and that just means that if there's not much movement in the water, often the fish won't move around either. But I'm hoping because it's early enough, they'll be biting, and I'm going to do a number of things today to try and make that happen. So I've got 2 rods in, a light rod with a small hook, and just looking for any. It's sort of my continuous action rod, so I'll cast in quite often. I'll throw burley in, I'll try different baits and just see what I can catch. The other rod's quite a bit larger, and it's I'm hoping for something big. I've put a larger hook, so a size 8 hook on that with a yabby on it, and I'll fish it, and I'll just leave that idle to my side, hoping that maybe something big comes by and picks up on that. But to keep me active, I'll have the smaller rod, which I'll be working with all the time. We'll see how it goes. I'm trying to cast into the same spot every time because I'm using a burley cage. So there's a tree over the other side of the river, so every time I cast I aim for that, and what I do is I sort of estimate the distance that I'm casting all the time, so I try to get it to the same distance. I'm about just over a third of the way out of the river, so I cast to that spot and in the same direction every time. If I do that, I've got burley landing in the same area, which will attract the fish to me. Well, I've been missing a few fish, and I've been trying to work out why. They were getting off, some of them getting off just as I actually got them near the bank. So I've done all the hard work and actually got them to take the bait, hooked them, and then they've got off. And then I checked my hook previously, and then it was fine because it was a chemically sharpened hook. But when I tried it again this time, after it getting snagged a couple of times, the edge had come off. So look, I always keep a whetstone with me to sharpen it. So even chemically sharpened hooks, which are really sharp when you start, can have the edge knocked off them and can be bent a little bit. Always check your hooks, because that's the thing that'll let you down in the end. So all I did is I just used this. I just ran the hook through it a couple of times, got that edge on it again, and I'm back in business. Well worth keeping one of these things. They don't cost much, but sometimes a sharp hook is the difference between catching fish and not. So always have one in your tackle bag. Oh my goodness. Well, I've got past the mullet and I've gone to slightly larger baits, and things went quiet for a little while, so this is because probably a few bream have come into the area. I'm starting with very small ones, but let's see if we can improve that. And the sharper hooks are certainly catching the fish, so that's all positive. Next thing, we just got to get his father. Well, they're not getting a lot bigger, but I'm getting them more frequently. What's happened is the tide has just changed and the water's really starting to move. It hadn't been moving much before, and as soon as it started moving, these things really started to bite. So one of the things is picking the right time with the tide, and obviously here it has to be when the water's really moving a lot. So I'll put this guy back and just see if we can improve in size. So they're beginning to get bigger. Bit by bit we're getting larger ones into the spot, and so the approach seems to be working. I just want to get this one's mother. When I got here this morning, I just wanted to check out what might be in front. Okay, so yes, there are pinkies in here this morning. This is a nice little fellow just caught then, just as I was speaking, and I've been casting the same spot, and there's a snag out there, so I cast to it, or next to it at least, so that I knew that there'd be structure to hold the fish. But it's good to see that there's little pinkies coming into the estuaries around Melbourne. I'll put this guy back and go for something a little bit bigger, but not a bad start. Beautiful little fish, and beautiful colour on him as we approach the middle of the year, which is when the spawning season would start. So I'll put this guy back. Well, once you start to catch too many of these, you probably know that there's only small ones in the area. So I'm probably going to call it a day. It's been pretty good. Return this one and maybe do something later on. Well, I think I'm going to call it a day now. I've caught about a dozen fish in this session, about nearly 3 hours. And the trouble is that towards the end all I was getting was the small mullet. So I got about half a dozen of those very small mullet. I got about 5 bream, not too bad a size, and then 1 little pinky. It's been a good session. The tides were about right. The day was overcast. It was a bit of a breeze, so all of that was really good. It was a good day's outing. And one other thing that I did that helped actually catch fish when things had stopped is to use a cocktail. So I like cocktails, and so do the fish, it seems. And that's just a cocktail bait. So you don't have to have just one bait on the hook. So sometimes I'll mix it up. If I'm freshwater fishing, I might have a piece of corn and a worm, or it might be a worm and a yabby, or something that mixes up that might appeal to a broader range of fish. In this water here, I was using a paste bait with aniseed in it, and I was using bits of prawn, and that combination seemed to work really well. So it just means that you need to mix it up sometimes when you can't catch. When I tried individual baits, they didn't work quite as well. When I put them together, that just made it, I got a couple of extra fish when it was getting a little bit tougher. So it's worth a try. Anyway, it's been a great day, and it's worth trying these estuaries near Melbourne because they're full of fish and it can be pretty exciting stuff.